Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. Poland's Prime Minister Donald Tusk has arrived in Kyiv on Thursday, walking among soldiers and civilians enduring the harsh winter and ongoing Russian strikes. Meanwhile, in Abu Dhabi, President Zelensky calls the trilateral peace talks between Russia, the US, and Ukraine a significant step toward ending the war, even as drones and missiles continue to hit the Ukrainian capital. We're now joined by Yuriy Kamelchuk, Ukrainian MP for Servant of the People Party. Good to have you on TVP World. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting.
I want to begin with the arrival of the Polish Prime Minister in Kyiv now, just some time ago, earlier on Thursday. What does that symbolize to the Ukrainian people? What's expected in your mind of his trip there?
Of course, it symbolized a big support, not only from Poland, but from the Europe. Of course, Poland make a big impact for supporting Ukraine in logistics, in weapons, in shelters for Ukrainians inside Poland. So we appreciate it very much. And of course, actually close to the anniversary of the full-scale invasion from 2022, it is a symbol for big support like our neighbor, one of the greatest neighbor, which help us to fight back with Russia in the war.
Mm-hmm. And also, I think you've had quite a high-profile visitor as well, which was NATO Secretary General. Now, with these two visits pretty close to each other, what does that indicate? Is this strengthening support for Ukraine? Is this mere symbolism? How do we take both of these visits together?
Maybe, of course, it's all together, but at the beginning, I need to say that Mark Rutte tell us that will be more support after the war, when the peace will be in Ukraine. So for our security guarantees for the future, it's important to understand how NATO countries can be helpful for Ukrainians. So what we can expect in the future, what will be army support, weapon support, air defense system support for the future, will be fast or will be slow like it was at the beginning of the full-scale invasion. So we have now maybe a little bit stronger hope for the future of our defense.
Mm-hmm. And also speaking about, well, after the war is over, I mean, that we're not there yet. I mean, that's one of the reasons we have these trilateral talks in Abu Dhabi. It's the second day. When we hear words like it's productive, that's being said by the parties there, what are your expectations? Will something tangible come out of these talks?
I hope we will hear some new details, not only that we have almost finalized peace agreement or security guarantees, because people still don't know any details. We just hear all these reports to the president, and the same during a few months that the negotiation goes well. So we're still waiting for these details, because we need to understand what are our plans, what are plans for our children for the future. And of course, Ukrainians abroad now who have shelter in Poland or Germany or other countries also want to plan their future, and they need to understand, will be the peace very fast, very soon, or it will be later? What can be plans for the future job, for future education, for people, for children, and will be constructed new buildings for those who lost their houses. So everything it's about that, about simple life, about security, and about planning for the future.
Mm-hmm. One thing that does seem to be very much mentioned also by President Zelensky, I think just also very recent in the last sort of few hours, is this prisoner swap, of another prisoner swap. There have been successful prisoner swaps between Russia and Ukraine. Do you expect this to at least be something tangible coming out of these trilaterals?
I hope so, because there was no any swap during last, I think, more than a month. and we expected those people. There was some swaps about killed soldiers, and still we have sometimes some fake swap because we get not Ukrainian soldiers but some Russian soldiers. Maybe it was a mistake, but it's not the first time. So I think Russians try to cheat us on this swap.
Okay. And also from various sources, it does seem to be that the French position from President Macron is to potentially now also have a call to engage with the Russians, pretty much following in what the United States is doing. How is that interpreted in Kyiv right now? If the French do this, will other leaders follow? And how is that taken there in Kyiv?
We still hope that willing coalition will become stronger, and then we hope that all the biggest countries in Europe will be much, how to say, maybe much courage in the future, and we will see not only the conferences, but I hope we will see strong decisions that can help right now, not only in the future after the peace deal, after the ceasefire, but we need this support right now because 4 years we're still waiting more air defense systems. We're still waiting more jets. We're still waiting for tomahawks, and we didn't get.
But at the same time, and we have, on the one hand, it appears that there's some sort of dialogue happening, but yet we have Russian strikes on the energy sector, on logistics hub, railways, hospitals, civilian targets, you name it. How realistic do you think, in your mind, how sincere is the Russian side to any kind of talks at this point, if we still have dialogue, but it isn't necessarily stopped, these attacks continue, and the latest attacks as well? Give us your sense of how that's been taken in Ukraine. What's the latest damage, and how are people reacting?
Of course, damages are very strong. We still have a lot of buildings without heating, without electricity. We have no concrete schedules for electricity during last months. Every day we hear about new damages of tubes of heating, and the quantity of this house is just changing from 3,000 to 1,500 to 500, and then again to 2,000 only in Kyiv. I'm not talking about in other cities, but Kyiv, maybe it's most destroyed, and a lot of workers came from another regions to help Kyiv workers to rebuild all the things. Of course, the things is very important in negotiation between Russia and Ukraine with help of US. But I think it's not helpful because Russia's terrorist Putin, he just don't mind about simple people, about civilians. He just want to scare them and want to push them to the peace deal of giving Donbas region to Russia.
And also, speaking of Russia more closely, I want to get your sense of this latest development right now. As of Thursday, as of today, the last restraining treaty, known as the New START Treaty between the United States and Russia, well, formerly the Soviet Union, has ended, meaning that there is no treaty restraining either side from reducing nuclear weapons. Actually, in fact, there is no more limits of that. What is the Ukrainian position on it? How much does this weigh in now also into discussions of security and defense? What's Ukraine's position on
that? Ukraine's position was about any possibility to limit all the nuclear weapons in the world. That's why we give it to our partners, and we just give away these weapons because we promised to the world not to have nuclear weapons. And now we have new tensions about that, but I think we don't believe that Russia can use nuclear weapons against Ukraine or another country.
Okay. And just a final point, at the end of today, or these next few days with these trilateral talks, will Ukraine be in a better position? Will it be the same? What's your greatest hope or fear, rather, after the end of these trilaterals?
Actually, I think nothing changed in our position, but maybe our deep strikes to Russian territory will help Russia understand that this game can be played in two ways. Not only Russia can destroy our infrastructure, but also we already destroyed maybe from 20 to 25% of possibilities of Russia's oil export, oil production. Actually, so it can be more in the future. That's why we call it two-way game. So I think Russia will understand that in the future will be more strikes, and U.S. also tell Russia stop the war, because there can be no so big potential of oil and gas production in the future, which is very interesting actually for US, because they want to cooperate in it and in other fields.
All right. So the latest there, and of course we'll be covering what happens during that trilateral and after, as always. Thank you so much for all those insights. Guest here today,
Thank you.
Yuriy Kamelchuk, Ukrainian MP. Thank you. Thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more news and commentary. Goodbye.